TIFU by wearing my late grandfather's shoes to a job interview. This happened January 2018. I was desperate to find a new job and was basically applying for anything that was asking for at least a bachelor's degree. To provide some background, I graduated with a sciences degree and there was a job posting for a junior risk management position at an accounting firm that allowed folks with a STEM major to apply. And so I did, even though I barely knew anything about the field of accounting or risk management. But hey, might as well. Surprisingly, they invited me to do a 1-on-0 interview where you basically stare at your computer webcam and answer questions that the company has prepared for you ahead of time while recording your answer. It's a pretty awful experience. However, they were all soft skill questions, so I could answer them pretty decently. After that, I surprisingly got an invitation to have an interview in person at their office. I was very excited. Now for the fuck up. My family has an assortment of dress shoes that I could wear for the interview and I ended up grabbing a pair that belonged to my late grandpa. They were looking fresh. I put them on and my parents dropped me off in front of the building. I entered the building and entered the conference room where the other 5 candidates were alongside some company reps. I was cool as a cucumber and just sat in my seat until everyone arrived. Right as everyone got up to enter the group case room, I looked down at my feet and noticed there were these black things scattered all around my shoes. I quickly deducted that they were shoe crumbs. It turns out that the shoes I wore were so old and no one had worn them since a long button-out time ago. They were so old that the polymer in the soles were extremely brittle and my shoes were deteriorating in front of my eyes solely due to pressure and friction. At that moment, I was just thinking, oh god, oh man, but didn't want to let anyone know about it, so after I got up, I pushed in my chair to hide the shoe crumbs. Luckily for me, everywhere I walked more traces of my shoes came off, leaving a trailing of black cheesecake behind me. It was a nightmare. Thankfully the carpet was greyish color so it wasn't too prominent with my black shoe crumbs, but it was only a matter of time before people were going to notice. We walked to a different conference room nearby where we did a group case. It didn't go too well and I left another big mess in there, but oh well. Afterwards, we were going to do the in-person interviews with the company directors and partners and divided us into 2 groups where 3 of us would go the interview first and the other 3 would do it after. I was a part of the latter team so we had time to kill. One of the company reps wanted to show us around the 2 floors and in my mind I was screaming. I wanted to minimize walking to prevent my shoes from breaking off even more. I ended up leaving a trail of crumbs all throughout both floors and then we decided to grab some Starbucks on the main floor. When I went to go grab a straw for my iced coffee, a giant block from my right shoe came off. Holy zucchini. I kicked it into the little condiments corner and hoped no one saw. We sat down at a table until our turn for interview was approaching. On the way back to the office floor, a second massive chunk came off, this time from my left shoe. However, this time I was in the middle of the cafeteria and couldn't go back to grab it or something. So I just continued walking and just left this black shoe turd in the middle of an open space. At this point, so much of my shoes have fallen off that I was starting to walk weirdly, as my shoes has gotten so much cheesecake at this point. We got back to the conference room and the moment I entered the room, I noticed 2 other people hovering around where I was sitting originally and said, "What's all this black stuff?" Looking at debris I had left earlier. I pretended to not hear them and sat at a different chair, attempting to engage in conversation with someone else. At this point, I was 99% sure everyone knew it was me. However, I continued to play innocent and not acknowledge the amount of debris I was leaving behind everywhere. Finally, it was my turn to do the interview and I walked to yet another office to do it. And of course that meant leaving more shoe crumbs along the way and in the boss's office. He told me he was gonna take a quick bathroom break after we entered and will be right back. I was so glad he did that as I frantically picked up the crumbs that I had already laid waste upon his office and quickly stuffed as much as I could in my pockets while he was gone. As I was doing this, all I could think was, how did it come to this? The interview itself went pretty well though. After everyone was done, the reps ended up buying lunch for us at a nearby restaurant. All I can say is RIP to the cleaning staff over there. By the time I got home, you could almost look through my shoe top down. Needless to say, I did not get the job. TL, Doctor, wore old AF shoes to an interview. The soles began to deteriorate as I walked around and shuffled them, leaving an absolute disaster of a mess all around their offices as I continued to not acknowledge that I was the culprit, even though I'm very certain everyone knew it was me. I had this happen to me with a pair I wore when I went to visit my GF's mom in the hospital. About 2 hours after unknowingly leaving tracks around the building, a cleaning person found me and handed me a pair of the hospital booties to keep it contained.
Now I'm just imagining the cleaner following the trail to find the culprit, giant magnifying glass and all.
I'm so sorry this happened to you, but this is sitcom gold. At least now you can say perseverance is a strength of yours.
This is the kind of banana that would happen to George in Seinfeld. He'd cheap out on shoes, leave a trail of shoe crumbs, and get a call after the interview telling him he didn't get the job. Upon asking why, he'd be told they didn't appreciate him littering the office with his shoe crumbs. Can you believe that, Jerry? Shoe crumbs, really? Jerry would make fun of him, George would get defensive and yell, and ultimately throw the shoes out. Kramer would find the shoes in the garbage, have his cobbler friend replace the soles, and the closing scene would be him strutting down the street with people admiring his shoes.
Great story. I lost it at Black Shoe Turd. That would be a nightmare to live through, but it's very entertaining. This is so cheesecake hilarious.
This story should be a Seinfeld episode, and George is wearing these shoes Lamau.
Banana, I was getting mad whenever they made you walk Lamau. TIFU by using the Face app everyone's been raving about. So I guess this is a bit of a change from your normal TIFU posts, but I felt like sharing anyways. So this just happened like an hour ago. I'm sure you all have heard about the revamping of the Face app, where you can literally age a photo of yourself. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, here is a good reference for you. Anyways, so I saw someone post a picture to their Instagram, and that's how I heard about it. I knew I had to download it and try it out. So I download the app, take a picture and set the filter. And OMG, I'm totally old lol. It's kinda crazy, and I'm not gonna lie, I look good as an old dude. I decided to send the results with the original picture to some friends and family who just die laughing at the filtered image. We start comparing pics and wonder if that's how we will really look in the years to come. Then a thought pops into my head. Everyone tells me I look just like my dad, and if that's true, maybe he will get a kick out of this photo too. So I send it away. Oh, he isn't excited, and he isn't laughing. He said it freaks him out. I asked him why, and assured him it's just a harmless filter. What he said next broke my heart. No, I'll never see you that old. TL, doctor, I used the Crazed Face app to send a photo of my old butternut self to my dad, resulting in him being really sad and breaking my heart. Butternut. Edit. Whoa. Did not expect this response. Thank you strangers for my first gold. Edit 2, thank you for my second and third gold. Wow. This is the sweetest TIFU. No Coke bottles up your butt or dumping blood all over a boyfriend's bathroom. Just wholesome. There is a lot of love in that man.
Or he plans to murder his son at some point in the future.
Zucchini. That's steep.
Could be worse. He could have said you look just like your uncle.
Ouch. You got a good one though. Treasure your time. Maybe he will, who knows?
That's what I said.
TIFU by not wearing pants to a job interview. This happened today, 8:30 AM. I cannot even try to make an excuse for how I could have literally forgotten a vital piece of clothing. I got pretty close. I donned my favorite opaque tights and chose my shirt, then I proceeded to get distracted by some forms I had to complete online, ran short on time, put on my long winter parka and left the house. I got up to the interview feeling very comfortable and 15 minutes early. As the receptionist told me to go hang up my coat, I gladly walked over to do so. I began to unzip my jacket, looked down, and for a brief moment I thought my skirt had just ridden up on my commute. Nope. Nothing there. Luckily I never fully took off my jacket. I proceeded to turn on my heel and leave. I got downstairs but was still holding the coat hanger. I didn't want to be a thief on top of just leaving abruptly. So I then took the elevator back up, claimed a family issue, and returned the coat hanger. Silver living is they let me reschedule. So now I have an interview for later this afternoon. About an hour. TL, doctor left my house without any pants on for a job interview, then absconded with company property. Edit, I think the job interview went well. I appreciate everyone's encouragement, and also thank you for the silvers. I'm also happy that so many other people have gone to work in various states of undress. And to the people who are now afraid of coming to their workplaces naked, I'm sorry. This was also a latent fear of mine too, and the stuff of my nightmares. I can't believe it actually happened and that checking for pants will now become part of my routine. I once had my skirt tied all the way up walking to a job interview. I could feel that my coat had generated some very intense static cling, so I thought I'd avoid embarrassment by fixing it in the alley next to their office. Man walked by and saw me struggling to untangle my skirt. Turns out he was the CEO of the company.
But did you get the job?
Yeah, I wanna hire the no pants chick. HR, Robert, can we see you in our office please? We're very concerned with your recent behavior. I thought for sure this was a tongue-in-cheek post about a Skype interview. This made a lot more sense when I realized you weren't male. What would you say if a woman walked in here with no pants, and I hired her? What would you say? She must have had a really nice shirt.